Speaking of the ruins, you'll find an assortment of bad guys that are starting to activate called Reaverbots, which aren't too hard to take down. Also, periodically, you'll have to fend off a family of pirates that are trying to lay claim to your treasures. The Bonds and their surf bots. The Bonds, well, Teasel and Tron, at least, because Bond is worthless. They provide a good deal of relief, and their cutscenes not only show us what they're up to, but keeps the pacing fairly well going throughout the game. They also add a good deal of charm, which helps the game overcome a lot of its shortcomings. As mentioned before, you can spend as little or as much time doing side quests and helping the townspeople. These aren't absolutely necessary to beat the game, but they are just a really nice thing to do to feel more emotionally invested in it. It is a huge strength, I believe, especially for how diverse they can be with their goals. You can participate in goofy game shows, collect things for the museum, defuse bombs, help an artist, find a pregnant woman, and on and on and on. The music, or what there is great. Maybe not masterpieces, but enjoyable and conveys the mood of the areas very well. One thing to note is that the music is absent in quite a few areas, giving it a peaceful atmosphere. However, as you explore new depths of the ruins, the music builds and builds and builds, and leads to some very catchy tunes near the end, and just very tense. Now, the controls are a little wonky, and do take some time to get adjusted to, but honestly, after an hour or so, it's really not that big of a deal. It's... yes, they are a little weird, but I think after enough practice with them, you'll be able to adjust to it enough to where it's not an issue. The game is not that hard. I'm sure there are a couple semi-difficult areas. The game's not that hard. The graphics are nice. I personally like these types of graphics, instead of aiming for more realistic ones. There is some issues with clipping and walls seemingly breathing. However, it's not that awful. The faces are sprites, which looks much better than using 3D blocks to me. The colors are really nice and warm on the outside and kind of damped and aged in many of the areas underground, which is a nice touch. Plus, they don't try to throw in tons of various landscapes just to say, hey, we have a snow place, or hey, we have a jungle place. Thankfully, that is not an issue here. I find the pacing to be good, except near the very end, when it feels a little too rushed. The game can be very short, so tacking on about an hour or two to flesh out the final rising actions and the climax would have been nice. The game ends incredibly abruptly, which leaves enough morsels without being too out there to build anticipation for a sequel. I really like this game. I got it on the 64. That was the first time I actually really had seen it. I didn't own a PlayStation until a little bit later, and even then I didn't realize that it was available on the PlayStation, so I just played the 64 version, and when it ended, I was like, well, wonder when the sequel's gonna come out, and didn't find out until later, and I didn't play the sequel until maybe about 6 or 7 years after that, so for me, the first game, Legends, or maybe on 64, was always something that felt a little bit personal to me, because people didn't either play the game, or if they did play it, didn't have very nice things to say about it. Until I came onto YouTube, or, even just watching people's videos on YouTube, I never realized that anybody else really liked the game. Which kind of made me think, oh, there'll never be a sequel, because nobody liked the game. Now, of course, that's not quite true, and I really wish they would finish up the series. However, that's probably never going to happen. Another story, another time, but yeah, if you've never played it, I would give it a shot. I mean, personally, it's definitely one of my favorite 64 games. Now, I don't know if that's really, saying kind of a backhanded comment towards the 64, or it's just I really like Mega Man 64 that much. But either if you want to play it on the PlayStation, go right ahead. Play it on the 64. They're very similar. If you want to try to play it in Japanese, if you've studied any Japanese, I would say try to give it a shot. It's not too difficult. It's not too text heavy. It's because it's kind of got that Saturday morning cartoon vibe to it a little bit. It's not really overbearing and not like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I'm so utterly confused. Definitely not the case. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gaijin Gaming Returns. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.